The last problem set is looking at our trim, carpentry, and our flooring. So the first 4 questions focus on our casing, so casing around our windows, casing around our doors, and then our base trim for the house. First, we're going to not subtract the door openings, and then we are, so we can see the difference in the calculations for the two. So if we look at our Plan 100, we're discussing the casing that goes around all of the door and windows. So on the doors, we have top and sides. Windows, it's all 4 sides, and the base trim runs along the bottom of all of our walls. Our specifications provide us with some information. It tells us the type and the size of all of our casing, as well as the specifications for our flooring, but it doesn't really give us additional information to help us calculate the quantities of what we are going to need. It just tells us what we are going to purchase. So additional information is provided on the problem set. We have casing, again, specified on all sides of the window openings, top, bottom, and sides, and then the top and sides only of our door opening. Here, we're going to use our rough opening dimensions when we're calculating the casing. It is a close approximation of the number you would use. For example, we have a 6'8" standard door slab. When we use our rough opening, that makes it 6'10". Now, standard casing pieces come in 7 foot, so it isn't an exact number. We are going to be slightly shy in our calculations, but this gives us a good approximation, and typically then we could apply a waste factor to bump us up to exactly where we need to be. But it is more accurate to use rough opening dimensions as opposed to just the door slab dimensions. Then I also tell you we have base trim specified throughout the entire house. We have vinyl flooring in the kitchen, dining area, bathrooms, and hall closet. And then we have our carpeting, that is the bedrooms, closets, living room, and living room closet. So if we want to look at that on our plans, that means the kitchen dining area is vinyl, the bathroom, and then the hall closet that is next to the bathroom is also going to be vinyl. So essentially this area here is our vinyl, and then the remainder area, less the stairs, is going to be our carpeting. So we'll get to those calculations towards the end of this problem set. So starting off, we're going to look at the lineal foot of casing for our windows. This is very similar to the calculation that we did for our J channel for our exterior materials. When we were looking at J channel, we were looking at the top and sides only. That's still the case when we're dealing with door casing, but for window casing, we need to look at all sides. So it's essentially the perimeter of our doors and windows. Sorry, perimeter of the windows and partial perimeter of our doors. So number 15, just looking at the windows, again, we're calculating a perimeter, 2 times the length times 2 times the width, but in this case it would be 2 times the width plus 2 times the height. So we have different types of windows. We have our A windows, and again, we want to use our rough opening dimensions. Those are provided on our window schedule. So we will just pull these numbers exactly off of here. Our width of our A window is 5 feet 1/2 inch, and the height of it is 4 foot 8 inches. Gives us 19 feet 5 inches as our total. We have one B window, the width of that, 7 foot 5.5 inches. And the height is also 4 foot 8, like our A window. That gives us 24 foot 3 inches. For our C window, we actually have 5 of those. So we have the 5 feet 1/2 inch as our width, the 3 foot 10 is the height, That gives us 17 feet 9 inches. But again, we multiply by the 5 because we have 5 of them, and we get 88 feet 9 inches. And lastly, 1D window, that is 7 foot 5.5 inches and 4 foot 1 inch in height. And we get 23 feet 1 inch. If we total all of this up, we end up with 155.5 feet, or you could say 155 feet 6 inches, or I am simply going to say we have 156 feet, round to the nearest whole number. It is not absolutely necessary that you do that. Again, typically we would apply a waste factor, but I'm simply going to round up for sake of ease to the nearest whole number. So really, all it is pulling the numbers that are provided on the window schedule, making sure you understand how to calculate a perimeter, making sure you account for all quantities of different types, and just adding it all up. Not a difficult calculation. The door casing for number 16 is very similar, but we have a few extra doors, so we want to make sure that we don't miss anything. So starting off, we are going to look at our exterior doors. We have the front door and we have the side door. Again, top and sides only. So instead of a perimeter, we're only going to have the one width of our door, but 2 times the height, the 6 foot 10. The side door, again, rough opening, 2 foot 10, 2 times the 6 foot 10. That is the height of our door slab. If we total those up, we end up with 16.83 repeating, and then 16.5. So total for our doors, we have 33.3 repeating feet. Or you could write it as 33 feet 4 inches, either way. Interior doors, again, we want to make sure that we account for all of them, and that if we have similar ones, then we can group those together. So if we look at our floor plan, we can see we have a 2 foot 8 door for our stairs. Our hall is 1 foot. Our bathroom door is a 2 foot 4. And then we have bedrooms that are 2 foot 6. And we have closet in our entry closet as well. And then we have our double closets for our bifold doors. Those are at 4 feet. So we can lump some of these together. The stairs are by themselves. So that is 2 foot 10 rough opening, 2 times the height, 16.5, just like the side door. We have our hall door, our hall closet door is a 1 foot door, so 1 foot 2 is the rough opening. 2 times the 6 foot 10, 14.833 repeating. Our bath is 2 foot 6 by 2 times our 6 foot 10 rough opening height, 16.1667. We have our bedrooms and front closet. So we have 4 of these that are 2 foot 8. Sorry. All of these should be addition symbols if that's not clear. We are finding a perimeter, not an area. So 2 times our 6'10", 16.3 repeating, times our quantity of 4, 65.3 repeating. And lastly, our bedroom closets. We have 3 of those that are 4'2", plus 2 times the 6'10", gives us 17.83 repeating, times the 3 quantity we have, and that's 53.5. So we have a lot of numbers to add up in this situation. So we have our doors for our exterior. We also have our interior doors. So if we first total the interior doors, so our interior, we have the 16.5, the 14.833, 16.167, our 65.33, and our 53.533. That gives us 166.3 repeating. Now, one thing we need to make sure we pay attention to is that for our interior doors, we need to multiply it by 2 because we're going to have casing on both sides of our door. On our exterior walls, we'll only have it on the interior. On the outside, we'll have our exterior trim or brick mold or whatever it might be, but it will not be our standard interior casing. So we only multiply our interior by 2. Gives us 332.667. And then we add in our exterior, the 33.33. So this is our exterior. Gives us exactly 366 feet for our door casings. So all of it added together, and again, you want to make sure that you are pulling the correct numbers. There are ways you could possibly simplify this in terms of how many of the standard rough opening height you have. We have 2 for each door, but make sure that when you're counting your interior doors, you would do 4 times that, so you account for both sides. Then you could add up all the widths. So there are multiple ways of calculating it as long as you show your work. That's acceptable. That is acceptable. Again, make sure you are adding as you are doing this. It is not a multiplication. It is not an area. It is a perimeter, or at least partial perimeter, so make sure that you are adding on these. So next up, we have our base trim. So for number 17, I tell you do not subtract our openings. So if we just are looking at the entire house as a whole, how much we could potentially have, it is very similar to our wall calculation when we were figuring up drywall. We had our height multiplied by our exterior plus 2 times our interior. Very similar, we need to take our exterior plus 2 times our interior, but we're not multiplying it by height because we don't need to know our square footage. We're looking for a lineal footage of base trim. So we have 124 feet for our exterior, 2 times the 2x6 walls plus the 2x4 walls. Same answer as what we had before. 405.5, or roughly 406 lineal feet of base trim if we do not subtract any of our openings. But in number 18, we are going to subtract those openings to see how much we can really save if we don't account for the openings, meaning how quickly are we going to do our estimate, how accurate does it need to be, all of those factors. So if we start off, we have our 405.5 We know that's the lineal footage where all the base trim is going to go. If we look at our Plan 100, the only place it is not going to go, essentially, for the openings is our door openings. Our windows do not go all the way to the ground, so we will have base trim that runs along underneath our doors. Sorry, underneath our windows. So it's only going to be our door openings. There might be other places where we won't have casing, but at this point we're just focusing on the doors and to subtract out. We have our front door to 3'2". Again, we want to use our rough opening dimensions to be the most accurate. Even though our door casing, from our rough opening, we will come in once we have our door slab and our pre-hung door set. We'll still have the thickness of the casing that has come down. So our base trim won't go all the way to the door. It will stop at the outside of the casing. So that's why our rough opening is the most accurate number to use. So we have our front door. We have our side door. We have our stair door. So this is our front door. This is our side. For our exterior doors, again, we only need to subtract out 1. But once we get to our stairs and looking at our interior doors, we need to subtract out 2. We multiplied our interior walls by 2 when we figured out how many or how much of our lineal footage of base trim we needed. So when it comes to our subtracting out for our openings, we need to account for both sides of the wall again for our doors. So this is also 2'10". For the stairs, we have our hallway closet. So this is hall closet. We have our bathroom door, 2'6" for the bath. We have our bedroom doors. Remember, there are 4 of these, but we have to take into account both sides. So this is bedroom and living room closet. And then we have our 3 bedroom closets. Those are 4'2". And again, we need to subtract out both sides. So this is bedroom closets. If you wanted to figure out each one separately, this is going to be a 5'8" number. This will be a 2'4", 5 feet. This is 21'4". This is 25 feet. If you want to check your math, once you figure that out, is fine. You can leave it as is. And we get our 405.5 feet. Subtract out 110.33 feet, or 110 feet 4 inches, and we end up with 295.17. So again, you can leave this as a decimal, that is fine. If you want to round up to 296 lineal foot, that's acceptable as well. So here we are saving over 100 feet of base trim by subtracting out our openings, 110 feet to be precise. So it is important that we kind of take the time to subtract out those, even though it is a longer process, because we can save a lot in our materials if we do so. We don't want to always buy extra and then hope to return it. We need to be more accurate in our numbers. Especially if we are bidding a project, then we want to make sure that our numbers are accurate, because they don't want to see the inflated numbers. For number 19, we are looking at now our flooring. So we're looking at our vinyl. As specified, we have our vinyl in our kitchen and dining area, and then we also have it in our bathroom area. So we're going to use the numbers that are provided to us on the floor plan. We have 10'9" as our width. or our length, whichever way you want to look at it. And then we have 14 feet, 1.5 inch. And for our bathroom, it's the same, 10'9", but this is 5'1/4 inch. So if you wanted to round your numbers, that would be acceptable. I'm just going to go ahead and list out what is there so that there is no confusion where these numbers are being pulled from. We have 14 feet, 1.5 inch by 10'9", 151.844 square feet. And then for our bathroom and the hall closet, we have our 5 feet, 1/4 inch by 10'9". 53.975 square feet. And we have then 205.818. So roughly 206 square feet of vinyl flooring for Plan 100. Lastly, number 20. We are looking at the carpeting that is in our hallway, our living room, and our bedrooms, as well as bedroom closets. Now we could do what we just did with our kitchen and dining and our bathroom, find the area of each room, and then add all of them together. But we could also simplify it, since we're trying to find a rough number, and say that, well, we know that we have vinyl in this area of our structure, and then we also have stairs, but then the rest of it is simply going to be the carpeting. So as I said at the beginning of the second problem set, when we're calculating the ceiling square footage, it's the same as the floor square footage. So we already have that number. So our total square footage is the 936, same as our ceiling. We know our vinyl is going to be the 205.818 that we just calculated. So all we have to do is calculate the stair area, which if we look at our plans, we're given the dimension of 3'7.5" for the width. We are not given the length, but just like when we were figuring out our wall length, we can take the total width of our structure less the living room to find that length of that wall. So what we did is we had our 26-foot length, subtract out the 13 feet of the living room, and we can multiply that by the width, that is the 3 feet 7.5 inches, which is 47.125 square feet. So then when it comes to figuring out our carpeting, it is the 936 total square footage minus the 205.818 for our vinyl, minus the 47.125 for our stairs, and we end up with 683.057. And here, rounding up or down, typically, again, rounding up is good. I'm just simply rounding down, so we're not double counting some areas, especially since the fact that we are going to have our walls in the rest of these areas. We will not have carpeting in those areas, so we can be a little, we can round down in that case. But again, if you want to keep in standard practice of rounding up, 684 would be an acceptable answer as well. And that is the conclusion of the sample problem set for interior materials.